Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by 8 Sleep. I have always slept well. My wife has not. But the 8 Sleep Pod 3 cover brings heating and cooling tech that keeps us comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. More on them later on in today's show. We'll begin with free agency, then get into the NFL draft because those are interconnected at this stage. JK Dobbins mentioned as a potential option for the Cowboys in the backfield by ESPN's Todd Archer. One of 3 names mentioned in the piece he wrote this morning: Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, and JK Dobbins. We have spent a lot of time on Ezekiel Elliott, on Dalvin Cook, so you can go check out those videos already on the channel, and instead we'll focus in on JK Dobbins for today's show. So if you haven't already, go subscribe and watch those videos. Also, the bosses have said we need 50 subs on today's video, or else. I am worried about the or else. I would argue they can't hurt me any more than what the Cowboys already have, but I'd rather not put that to the test. So get free Cowboys videos when you subscribe right now. The running back room remains an obvious area of concern, focal points, desire to add, whatever you want to call it. You have Rico Dowdle back. It does not guarantee him a roster spot. He could be anywhere from RB2 to even RB4 because he does offer some actual special teams value. Then it's guys like Deuce Vaughn, undersized third down back. Malik Davis, who's kind of been behind Rico Dowdle in a similar-ish role. Hunter Lipke offers you some bigger body, some fullback hybrid stuff. Snoop Conner also trying to carve out a role, probably in that Malik Davis role to a certain extent. What Dobbins brings you relative to the other free agents we'll get to here in a little bit is actual efficiency in big plays and explosiveness. When he has played, he's averaged over 5.5 yards per carry, almost 6 yards per carry. He has been highly impactful when he has been out there. That's the problem. He hasn't been out there. Played 1 game last year. Played 8 games in 2022. Missed all of 2021. He's taken it to the Chargers and the Chiefs. The Chiefs brought back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, so seemingly cross him, or them, I should say, off the list. Dobbins, Texas boy, it does make some sense if you trust him to stay healthy. So would you sign JK Dobbins? Y for yes, N for no. It is today's pinned comment. You should know the drill by now. Ad's going to come here most likely on YouTube. It's fine. Nobody cares. Go vote the pinned comment, Y or N. Now, I would argue across the board for the running back position, a post-draft move is most likely. It makes sense for all parties involved. You know, the player wants to know really what the room is going to look like. The last thing somebody wants to do is sign thinking they're going to be a starter, take less money in the process of doing so most likely, and then that team drafts somebody in round 2 or round 3. That's not an ideal outcome, and at this point, the market's pretty dried up, relatively speaking. You're not going to be paying much, and the team also would like to know, do they want a speedier back, a feature back, a power back? I think it does make sense to wait and see how that all plays out. The medical for J.K. Dobbins, how he's come back from the Achilles and the ACL previously, and just staying healthy in general, makes him boom or bust. Who here trusts J.K. Dobbins to play 17 games? If you said me, you are a liar, or maybe a bit delusional. No one actually believes that. He could very well end up giving you little to no help. Yeah, he got hurt again. He played 3 games. He didn't do anything for you. Or he stays healthy, and he looks like the guy that we saw coming out of Ohio State. We've seen when healthy for the Ravens and looks like a legitimate RB1. This would have to be a cheap and incentive-heavy contract, which I do think makes some sense. But unlike the other names on this list that we'll get to, the floor probably is lower. The ceiling is significantly higher than anybody else out there in terms of free agents, right? Joshua Kelley's been a backup player. You know, Rashaad Penny has flashed but didn't play at all last year. Wasn't a feature part of the Eagles' offensive line, or ground game, excuse me. Jerick McKinnon offers you some third down value. Actually, Cordell Patterson on the stairs. Forgot about that one. So cross Patterson off the list. That's how thin it's getting, by the way. Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Latavius Murray, Kareem Hunt. Those guys aren't very good anymore. You know, I'd probably rank them, frankly, Zeke, Hunt, and Cook, and that shows you how bad that grouping is, right? Cam Akers has had injury issues and has never been the same since those injuries arose. So, not a great group. Dobbins offers the highest ceiling. Did you know, folks, that sleep science shows in order to sleep our best, our body temperature needs to drop in the early and middle part of sleep and then rise in the morning? The 8 Sleep Pod cover will improve your sleep automatically by adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover is added to any bed, like a fitted sheet, and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees, which you probably don't need, but it has the ability to do it. In addition to keeping you the perfect temperature all night, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month on the pod. There's no better way to improve your daily life than with better sleep, and the easiest way is the 8 Sleep Pod 3. Start the new year right and invest in the rest you deserve with the 8 Sleep Pod. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports and get $200 off plus free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's 8sleep.com/chatsports. With the NFL draft rapidly approaching, a lot of draft coverage here on the channel. The Dallas Morning News and kind of their profile of different positions focused on the offensive line and kind of laid it out pretty clearly, David Moore did, with what the expectation is at that position. Here's what he wrote. The scales tipped to the Cowboys taking an offensive lineman in the first round of the draft later this month, either at tackle or on the interior. Don't be surprised if this is another pick on an offensive line before the second night is done. Now, the double dip idea is actually, I think, the most interesting part of that report. We all would guess offensive line is the path this team goes round 1. If they take another on the second or third round, does limit your ability to add other help. Are you going to go running back on day 2 and then defense all on day 3? So I think that part's interesting and probably depends on who's available. The Cowboys taking the unique path of, instead of filling your needs to go BPA, they have filled no needs, allowing them to still go BPA. So will the Cowboys go offensive line in round 1? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Get those predictions in for me in the comments section. Of the noted reported 30 visits, there are still more to come, by the way. It's not the full list. A couple names stand out on the offensive line. 5th kind of day 3 guy, Matt Goncalves, probably goes in the 4th round, would be my guess, somewhere in that range. So probably not in this conversation too much there. Talisay Fuaga, Troy Atanu, Graham Barton, and Jackson Powers Johnson. Now, we had mentioned yesterday, per the report from Tony Pauline, that Kingsley Suamataia was scheduled to be a 30 visit. Apparently, for whatever reasons, schedule issues, whatever, he is actually not set to come, per Nick Harris of Cowboys.com. So, you see that list, you go, okay, there's 4 guys in round 1, the 2 of those 4 guys. That list is not done yet. We've got 10 to 12, depending on whether end up lists you're seeing out there. Those are all the reported ones, by the way. Guys still to come, still to fill out. So I do expect another couple offensive line names to be on that reported 30 visit list, and we'll break them all down once we have the 30 or 28 or whatever number of names we end up getting. What I am intrigued by is the report of Fuaga from Nick Harris and Atanu from Draft Network being on the 30 visit list, period. Because those guys should go top 20. I don't think they're going to be there at 24. Dallas Morning News said Fuaga was not going to be there at 24. He might go top 10. So why are they on the list then? Did they think that those guys could fall? And because teams might view them as a guard, maybe they slide down a little bit as opposed to some of the other tackles? Or could they have interested in a trade up? I'd be surprised if they moved up. Fuaga was a right tackle at Oregon State. Do you try him on the left side? He's athletic enough to do it, I think, but he hasn't done it really. Try him at left guard, maybe? Are you going to dump Terrence Steele? I'd be surprised by that one. Troy Fautanu, I think, could play left tackle. At worst case, would be a left guard. If he's there at 24, I'm skipping to the podium all happy about it. He's not a top 10 player for me this year, but he's damn good. So the inclusion there of Fautanu and Fuaga just make me wonder, why? What's the plan for Dallas? Because they're so light on draft capital. Let's say, whether it's Fautanu or Fuaga or Fashanu, one of the big 3 Fs, I guess we'll call them there. Slide to, like, I don't know, pick 17. You want to jump in front of the Bengals. Would you trade up for one of those guys? T for trade, P for pass. The lack of assets kind of makes this hard to do. You know, you're going to move away from one of your only other likely top 170 picks to get a really good offensive lineman. If you filled your needs in free agency, maybe you could be aggressive. I kind of need the volume picks there. 2 other names on that list, Jackson Powers Johnson, by the way, which the medical's got to be checked out. There's a lot of whispers on that. That's why he's kind of sliding in some of the consensus boards you see out there. If the medical checks out, I would have no complaints with taking him at number 24. Same with Graham Barton. Not the medical side, but taking him at number 24, I should say. I think he's an inside player, left guard, center in the NFL. I don't know if he's going to get to you at number 24, but that's a good name to have on your 30-visit list. Some other offensive line prospects to watch here, and I bet at least 1 or 2 of these guys end up being 30 visits. Amarius Mims, who I am ready to risk it all for him. Tyler Guyton could be one of the fallback options for Dallas. I think he's there. Jordan Morgan, is he a tackle or a guard? Arm length concerns there. J.C. Latham could fit the Fuaga Fautanu role. Sua Mata'ia at a BYU. Again, was on the list and now apparently isn't, so we'll see what happens on that front. He could be kind of a trade back option. And Zach Frazier also fits that. God, I'd love him in round 2, although I kind of doubt he ends up getting there.